Hi, welcome back to the garden. Now it's coming up to the end of May, 23rd I think it is. We had lovely sunny sunshine, warm hot weather for the beginning of May, and then beginning of this week we had, I think it was about 3, maybe even 4 inches of rain in about an hour or 2 hours. So I will show you, the garden's actually drained off so I can walk on it again, but it was under a couple of inches of rain once again. So everything's been delayed in the garden. Everything is a manic rush to get things done. My work has been kicking off because it's now sunshine and the grass needs cutting all the time. So what was a 2-hour job is now taking 3 or even more hours for all of my garden customers. So time in my own garden is at a limit, but there's so much to do. Let's go check it all out. So let's take a start and look around the patio area here first of all. So I've got if I remember right, this is Salvia concertiflora. Yep, concertiflora from last year. This has finally gone into a little pot. Is actually doing really well. I took some cuttings and they actually took, which is really nice. So I've got a few extra little baby plants. The Forbia I bought is doing really well. We've had loads of pea shoots. They're now getting a bit too big and they're just going to be left to grow into actual pea plants for peas. We've got some spinach and lettuce up there. Some little brugmansias have been overwintered upstairs, have done well. They are going to go into some bigger pots and hopefully get some flowers off of them this year. The insettis are down. They're not going in the ground this year. They're going to go into these couple of big containers. If I can, I'd love to get a couple of kind of navy blue containers, but I don't want big heavy terracotta. I want some plastic ones so that I can move them about as and when, and they're going to stay on the patio with some feature plants. All of my wife's plants are all doing lovely. All the sweet peas are all starting to grow. The sago cycad is doing fantastic. The bootia is doing well. Let's go have a little look. It's got some more fronds pushing through, which are looking really good. It's nice and healthy. This brugmansia is going to go into another pot, another big pot. This is my one that stays out on the patio. This is a double white. Carrots are doing all fantastically. The albrizia is looking really nice and healthy. Put in this stick to try and get it a bit more vertical. That's eventually going to go into a big pot. The yuccas are all doing fine. We've got some runner beans in. The heucheras have all taken lovely and even put flowers on them all. The fuchsia bush is looking really good at this time of year. This pot of canna is going to be split whenever I get a spare 5 minutes because it's really running out of nutrients in there. It hasn't been moved for about 3 years. All of the aloes are all doing okay apart from arborescence variegata, which is very much dead, so that's going to go in the bin when I get 5 minutes to clear it away. Wife's done a hanging basket with some bits and pieces in. The Musa sicumensis is finally started to show, so we've got one there, the main plant, and then another one over there, and then these are the eucomis bulbs coming through. I think they were Polystachys polyblepharum, all coming through. That one's doing a little bit worse for wears because it had the hose left on it. This is all doing fantastically. The fig trees are doing really well. Knocked off most of the rotten figs. I've given this bamboo a little bit of a tidy up down the back. You'll see the Phylostachys aureocolis, 5-ax aureocolis is doing fine. I don't think there's any signs of new culms just yet, but I will probably get in there and thin 1 or 2 out, just a couple. And the Banksian rose in there had flowered. See if I can find any that are still in. No, it's all well and truly gone, but that needs to be chopped back now that it's finished flowering. Then I've got this Brugmansia in the ground. This is where the same place I had this one last year. Ends up acting as like a tree as you come in. The hosta that was over was in that spot. I like putting this in. I didn't want to have to keep risk damaging it, so I've just moved it over here, and it's doing well. Got a couple of shuttlecock ferns in the ground now. My Fatsia, standard Fatsia japonica, really struggled this winter. Not sure what it was. Lots of dieback, and it's only just starting to get some green growth, and the healthiest bit is just at the bottom. You can see it's got these really nasty weedy looking leaves, whether it's because in the winter there's no canopy and it gets too much sun, or whether it was too wet, or I'm not sure. We'll see how it bounds back. It might just have to be pruned down low. There's the other shuttlecock fern. All of the shrubs that I bought over winter bare root are all coming through nicely. The hibiscus and a deutza on the end, and then these are wigalias, all doing fantastically. A few more bits and pieces there, turn around, and I'm so happy. This plant, we went down to Big Plant Nursery down, is it Sussex? Where are they? But I picked up this Madeira, and I've managed to overwinter it with green fly, white fly, black fly, all the bugs and pests you get over winter, and it's come through, and look at that leaf. That is gorgeous, and that's got to find that a really nice spot, maybe a good pot, so that I can bring it in and protect it over winter as and when required. Then lots of little comfrey cuttings that probably just need to be healed into the ground. A couple of the Tetrapanax pups are all doing well. My Canna Musifolia desperately need to go into some bigger pots, so I will get onto them ASAP, because yeah, I mean, even only a few days ago this top leaf wasn't even there. But they're all looking fantastic. I did move the Coniogramma fern from underneath the eucalyptus. You can see the slugs had a right old munch on it. There was a couple of new fronds just coming through, and then I've got a Lismachia, much like the one I have around the pond. This is a darker one which isn't quite as hardy, and I lost most of mine a few years ago. Festicular bicolour is still in the basket. That's going to get removed and moved into a couple of spots. I'm going to split it up this year. Again, when I get 5 minutes, growing myself some nettles and some thistles, but the Musabasju is doing well, as is the Melianthus major. The eucalyptus is, I've spoken to the tree surgeon, is getting its prune in a couple of days time, so by the time this goes out on YouTube it should hopefully all be done, because it is basically touching the power cable now. The loquat tree is doing well. I gave that a little prune. It's still really loose in the ground, so I'm going to need to find a way of strapping it to a couple of these sleepers. Then that's where the Coniogramma was, and I've moved a Mahonia there. Thankfully the rabbits have not discovered this one. They've discovered most of my new plantings and have eaten probably 50% of everything that I've planted in the last 6 months. So I am having to protect everything. Moved the hosta that was in a pot just out of the way, but I actually quite like it down here with the Euonymus. It looks quite nice. And then I've got some Spanish flag that I need to plant out to run up this bit of trellis again. This black bamboo is doing okay. Ligularia is all doing well, and the Gunnera is slowly getting better, getting a bit more growth to it. Xanthodecia white giant in flower, looking fantastic. Pond is looking much better after the clear. Looking much better. Seen a few more newts again. I do need to get in and give it another clean out, but I will probably just wait till the end of summer to do that, and I'll get a pond vacuum in and I'll sort out this top pond with the waterfall to make sure that it's actually all. I'm probably just going to pull it all up and redo it, get it all levelled, because I also need to drain the pond, because I've found that down here, when I fill the pond up to a certain height, this is where it's overflowing. So this is my lowest point, and it shouldn't be as low as it is, so I need to repair that. The Scheffler Taiwaniana is looking fantastic. I need to get a few more of these if they're going to do as well as this in the garden. The Riem at the end looking absolutely amazing. I've let it flower again this year, but I think next year I might actually try and take the flowers off just to see if we can get more and bigger leaves on it. And then the Trachycarpus fragnerianus looking really good, and the tree fern looking really good. Not had to water that recently with all the rain we've had. Despite the heavy deluge, we've had multiple days where we've just had constant drizzle on and off. This eucalyptus is in flower, looking absolutely stunning at this time of year. I mean, you don't think of a eucalyptus for flowers, but they are looking really stunning. And you get these weird buds along with them. And then this, yeah, you can see where the rabbits have got in. So I've just finished this about half an hour ago. Take my fingers out of the way for you. You can see I ran out of netting, and I've had to use the panels that I built for the chicken coop that is still just down in the way. But this is going to be where this phormium's going to go this year. Got a dark leaf canna there which will be lifted once it's a little bit bigger, and I know exactly where the roots all are, and this Brugmansia is going to go in there as well this year. And you'll see over there in the little pot, that's a little Mahonia softgrass that's been eaten to the bare stem, and that's your Butus unido in the centre, and again about 18 inches up all the leaves have been stripped off. Most of them on that, actually, they've just stripped them off and left the leaves on the ground as well. So it looks like this mesh is going to be here for a good few months to try and protect everything. This bed behind me is doing really well. I do need to give the hedging a tidy up. You can see where I kind of stopped about there. But the dark elders need to go in again when I get a couple of minutes. The Achillea terracottas are all doing really well established, as is the dark canna, which I think is Eric Newbert, I think. Volcano, my poor grapevines, been left in their pots for years. I need to sort them out at some point, but it's all down to time. Potatoes are all doing really well. Find a spot for this Phoenix canariensis at some point, not sure where exactly it will go, and then I need to tidy up underneath the bench here. Go around. Mangaves enjoying a bit of sunshine. The Tetrapanax is doing really well again this year. I actually need to keep an eye on how many growth points are on it, because I don't want too many. I'd sooner have 3, maybe 4, and it put more effort into getting some height on it, because I did lose about a foot to 18 inches off it this year. Then I can never remember what this grass is. It's lovely, but it just seeds everywhere. If I show you underneath, all of these are all little seedlings. It's all in the pond, so this is going to come out very soon, because the seeds are already on there. I'm going to chop it all back and dig it out, and then I'll get to actually see the canna down there, which is an Eric Newbert, and I'm going to find another plant. I think I've got a couple of choices that I can put in there. Ligularia dentata, looking a little bit eaten by the slugs, but it's been so wet I can't really blame it, but it does look good anyway. In a lot of these spots I've literally about 10 minutes ago sown some little seeds just to fill in some of the gaps, so I don't get too many weeds coming through. Get a little bit of a close look at that rheum, and then we've got a couple of flower spikes on the Drunconculus vulgaris. So that's looking like bank holiday weekend is going to be smelling of rotten carcass, which is always my wife's favourite time of year. And the new problematic plant in the garden is this Fuchsia nigra, the black bamboo. I was like really enjoying it. These canes were looking really good, really thick, solid canes. There are quite a lot. If you remember last year, it basically grew right out to here, and I dug it all out and filled it with farmyard manure, well-rotted farmyard manure. And I'm quite happy for it to come right up to the edge here, although I do like putting something around the base here just to kind of draw your line of sight from the floor upwards. But then I noticed that it is run from there all the way over to here. That's about nearly 3 foot away. So unlike my others, this one seems to want to be running, so that may have to get taken out, and it's not going to be thrown out obviously, but I'll find somewhere where it's got a bit more space, and then this will probably end up having some sort of an evergreen tree in place here. I'll have to have a little think about what I can do with it. This bed is looking really nice. Just planted a few days ago some Salvia amistads, and I had some pink china here that you will not see any signs of at the moment, but when I forked through there were a few tiny pieces of it that made it through this winter, so I've left them in there and they will get a couple more weeks, and then if they don't come through I will get some more plants, because there's no reason why they won't be hardy enough in this spot. I think this winter was just so wet that it really did struggle. The honeysuckle is looking really good, all in flower at the moment. We'll follow this back round to the greenhouse and then down to the bottom of the garden. This is looking really nice. Barbecue is slowly getting there. I've got to get some slate in to do a decorative outside of the wall, and then get some oak slab for the top and things, but it's looking good. We've got a good harvest of blueberries this year, which are looking really healthy. They've really improved since putting them into some bigger pots. A couple of hydrangea. Then this is a later flowering one which hasn't done quite so well. Polycarpa is doing well, and this black bamboo is doing well, especially given that it's in a little bucket pot. This honeysuckle never looks particularly fantastic, so this may actually get replaced with one of my wisterias that I've got. I went down to RHS Wisley a few weeks ago and went to go see the wisteria there, because I wanted some ideas of what I can do, and I've got a few more ideas now. It's looking really good all through here. Greenhouse, we've got tomatoes and cucumbers and a couple of melons, and then poor peas are about 4 or 5 weeks overdue going outside, but it's just a case of getting time, and then I've got to be able to protect them from the rabbits, because they've found their way into our veggie plot. Then the roses, my wife's roses, have a fantastic scent on them. This is Blue for You, and they look and smell fantastic. Euchebia coming out into full flower on this sunnier side. This bed's coming along nicely. The peonies were in full bloom until Tuesday afternoon when we had the heavy rain, and then every single flower lost all of its petals. It was so heavy that the rain basically gushed off of the roof and missed the guttering. but we've got some more flowers coming through with the dark elders. Again, some more nettles that I'm growing. The eucalyptus is doing well, little baby eucalyptus. Then these Philostachys are actually still shooting reasonably well. Probably actually want a good feed soon. I might have to give them something, but they'll have enjoyed this wet weather. This honeysuckle's doing okay, and then Clematis or mandii is doing well. The rabbits have not found that, being hidden by the leaf rake in there. Some more Melianthus all doing well, some lilies. So the black bamboo may very well go down at the end of the garden here, or I think it might end up going in this spot here, because it's sheltered so it won't get battered by too much wind, and it will form a nice column, and there's a good metre squared space in there for it to expand out. And if it runs into the hedging there, it's not a problem. So that will probably be where it ends up going, or it will end up going up over here somewhere. Got a couple of bulk bags of mushroom compost from a local farmer, a couple of bean poles to run some runner beans, and then this will have the pumpkins and courgettes in this year. And then this is going to be dug out when I get 5 minutes. Take a look. This is how much rain fell in a couple of hours, and then growing some more weeds. And that's the garden this year at the end, coming up to the end of May. It's been hot, wet, cold, windy, basically everything except frosty in May so far, and hopefully we won't get the latter, but you never know. It's not out of the realms of possibleness at the moment. The weather seems very, very erratic this season, but hopefully I will get on and get this out before the end of May for you all, and then we will come back mid-June hopefully, and we'll see how much all the tenders have shot up once we get a bit of 20 degrees sunshine in them.